You wake up, check your prop firm dashboard, and see you're down 0.8% for the day. Your daily drawdown limit is 1%. You have 0.2% of room left. That's it. One wrong move and you've breached. One bad trade and weeks of work getting funded are gone. This is the reality of trading under prop firm pressure, and it creates a psychological environment that's completely different from trading your own account. Most traders don't realize this until they're in it, and by then, they're already making mistakes they never made in their evaluation. Here's what nobody tells you about prop firms. The rules aren't just about risk management. They're psychological pressure cookers designed to test whether you can trade under constraint. And that pressure does something to your brain that destroys your edge. I've watched hundreds of traders pass evaluations easily, get funded, then blow their accounts within weeks. Same strategy, same setups, same risk management rules. So what changed? The psychology. The constant awareness of those daily drawdown limits sitting in the back of your mind like a ticking time bomb. Let me be clear about something. Prop firms serve a real purpose. They provide capital to skilled traders who don't have large accounts. The rules exist for legitimate reasons. But the psychological cost of trading under these constraints is something most traders massively underestimate. You start thinking differently when you're close to your daily limit. Every tick against you feels magnified. You start making decisions to avoid breaching rather than to execute good trades. And that shift in focus, from trading well to not breaking rules, is what kills most funded traders. Think about how you traded during your evaluation. You were probably calm, patient, following your plan perfectly. You had nothing to lose except the evaluation fee. Now you're funded, and suddenly everything feels different. The trades feel heavier. The pressure feels real. Your decision-making starts to crack. This isn't weakness. This isn't lack of discipline. This is a predictable psychological response to trading under daily drawdown constraints. And unless you understand exactly what's happening in your brain, you'll keep repeating the same pattern. The daily drawdown rule specifically creates unique psychological challenges that don't exist with just an overall drawdown limit. Because every single day resets. Every morning you wake up with that same constraint hanging over you. There's no psychological relief, no safe zone where you can just relax and trade. Here's what's really happening. Your brain is constantly running a background calculation of how close you are to your limit. This uses mental energy that should be going toward market analysis. It creates anxiety that interferes with clear thinking. It makes you hesitant on good setups and impulsive on bad ones. I'm going to break down exactly how daily drawdown pressure manifests in your trading, why your brain responds this way, and most importantly, how to trade successfully under these constraints without letting them destroy your psychology. Because it's absolutely possible. Profitable prop traders exist, but they've learned to handle the pressure in ways that struggling traders haven't. The key insight is this. Daily drawdown limits don't just restrict your risk, they fundamentally change your relationship with each trade. And until you adjust your psychology to match this new reality, you'll struggle, even if you're a genuinely skilled trader. Let me show you what's really going on when you trade under prop firm pressure and how to stop letting it control you. When you're trading with a daily drawdown limit, your brain shifts into what psychologists call threat-focused attention. Instead of looking for opportunities, you're subconsciously scanning for dangers. This completely changes how you process information and make decisions. Let's break down what happens neurologically. Under normal trading conditions, your prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making part of your brain, evaluates setups objectively. Is this a good trade based on my criteria? That's the question you're answering. But add a daily drawdown limit that you're getting close to, and your amygdala, the fear center, becomes hyperactive. Now your brain is asking a different question. Can I afford this trade going wrong? That's a completely different calculation, and it leads to completely different decisions. Here's a real example. You see your A+ setup appear. Normally, you'd take it without hesitation because you've backtested it and you know the edge. But you're down 0.7% for the day and your limit is 1%. Your brain immediately starts calculating what happens if this trade loses. If you risk 0.3% and it loses, you've breached. Even though the setup is perfect, even though your strategy says take it, you hesitate. Maybe you skip it entirely. Or maybe you take it with half your normal size, which means even when it wins, you're not making back enough to offset previous losses. This threat-focused attention creates several specific problems. First, opportunity blindness. You become so focused on not breaching that you miss legitimate trading opportunities. Your brain is working overtime to keep you safe from breaking rules, and in doing so, it prevents you from executing the very trades that would make you profitable. Second, decision paralysis. When you're close to your daily limit, every decision feels massive. You overthink setups that should be automatic. You second-guess your analysis. You freeze when you should be executing. This paralysis often means you miss your entry, then chase the trade, then end up with a worse position than if you just followed your plan. Third, and this is crucial, compressed risk tolerance. As you get closer to your daily limit, your psychological risk tolerance shrinks even though your strategy's risk parameters haven't changed. You start thinking in terms of how much room you have left rather than what the trade actually requires. So, you might take a trade that needs a 50 pip stop loss, but you only give it 30 pips because that's all the room you have before breaching. The trade gets stopped out, then moves in your predicted direction. You were right about the market, but wrong about your execution because the daily drawdown pressure forced you to compromise your trade management. Fourth, recovery desperation. This is the most dangerous psychological state. You've taken a couple of losses and you're sitting at 0.9% down with only 0.1% to your limit. Now you feel desperate to make back those losses before the day ends, but you have almost no room to work with. Your brain enters panic mode. You start looking for quick scalps, low time frame noise trades, anything that might get you back to break even. But these aren't your strategy. They're desperation trades driven by the psychological pressure of the daily drawdown limit, and they almost always lead to breaching. Here's what makes this especially insidious. In a regular trading account, you can have a bad day, accept the loss, and come back tomorrow with the same capital, minus that loss. Your psychological state resets overnight. You start fresh. But with daily drawdown limits, even if you manage to avoid breaching, the psychological damage carries over. You go to bed stressed about almost breaching. You wake up anxious about it happening again. This chronic stress accumulates and degrades your decision-making over time. The brain also develops what's called learned helplessness around daily drawdown limits. After breaching once or twice, you start to believe that breaching is inevitable. This belief becomes self-fulfilling because you're no longer trading to execute well, you're trading with the expectation of failure. Understanding these neurological and psychological mechanisms is critical because you can't fix a problem you don't understand. Your struggle with prop firm rules isn't about lacking discipline. It's about your brain responding predictably to a high-pressure, constrained environment. The good news is that once you understand these mechanisms, you can develop specific strategies to counteract them. You can retrain your brain to operate effectively even under daily drawdown pressure. But first, you need to recognize these patterns in your own trading. Now that you understand what's happening in your brain, let's talk about the 3 most common and most deadly mistakes traders make when trading under daily drawdown pressure. If you've breached a prop firm account, I guarantee you made at least one of these mistakes. Mistake 1. Trading to avoid breaching instead of trading to execute your edge. This seems subtle, but it's absolutely critical. Your goal should never be, don't breach today. Your goal should be, execute my strategy with discipline today. Those are fundamentally different objectives. When your primary focus is avoiding breach, you make defensive trading decisions. You skip good setups because you're afraid of the loss. You exit winners too early because you want to lock in profit and create a buffer. You take trades that aren't in your plan because you're trying to make back losses quickly. None of these decisions are about trading well. They're about managing fear of consequences. And fear-based trading is consistently unprofitable trading no matter how good your underlying strategy is. I've seen traders who are genuinely skilled, who passed evaluations with great consistency, completely fall apart once they're funded because they shift from execution-focused to breach avoidance-focused. Their entire psychological framework changes, and their results change with it. Mistake 2. Position sizing based on remaining room instead of trade setup. Your position size should be determined by the setup quality, volatility, and your stop-loss placement, not by how much drawdown room you have left for the day. But here's what happens. You're down 0.6% for the day. Your limit is 1%. You see a great setup, but it requires 0.5% risk to trade properly. Your brain says you can't take that trade because if it loses, you breach. So you either skip it, losing the opportunity, or you take it with 0.3% risk instead, which means your stop is too tight and you get stopped out on normal volatility. Either way, the daily drawdown pressure has prevented you from trading your actual strategy. The correct decision, and this is counterintuitive, is to take the trade with proper position sizing if it meets your criteria, even if that means you could breach if it loses. Because trading your edge consistently is more important than protecting any single day or any single funded account.
Professional prop traders understand that some breach is inevitable if you're trading properly. They pass new evaluations and get refunded because they know their edge works. They're not afraid of breaching because they're confident they can get funded again. This mindset is liberating and it leads to much better trading. Mistake 3. Revenge trading after morning losses. This is where most breaches actually happen. You take a couple of losses in the first hour of trading. You're down 0.7 or 0.8%. Now you feel pressured to make it back before the day ends. You start forcing trades that aren't there. You jump on low probability setups. You overtrade, trying to find something, anything that will get you back to break even. And because you're trading from desperation rather than discipline, these trades usually lose. One more loss and you've breached. The cruel irony is that if you just stopped trading after those morning losses, you'd be fine. Down 0.7% isn't ideal, but it's not a breach. You come back tomorrow and trade well. You make it back. But the psychological pressure of daily drawdown limits makes stopping feel impossible. Your brain tells you that stopping means accepting the loss, and accepting the loss means you failed today. So you keep trading, trying to salvage the day, and you turn a manageable loss into a breach. This pattern is so common it's almost predictable. Here's what these 3 mistakes have in common. They're all examples of letting the daily drawdown rule control your decision-making instead of letting your strategy control it. The rule should be a boundary you're aware of, not the primary driver of every decision you make. Think about it this way. If you're a basketball player, you know the court has boundaries, but you don't spend the entire game thinking, don't step out of bounds. You play basketball, and you naturally stay in bounds because you're focused on the game. Trading under prop firm rules should work the same way. You trade your strategy, you execute your edge, and you naturally stay within the rules because your strategy is designed with proper risk management. But when the rules become your primary focus, your trading falls apart. The solution isn't to ignore the daily drawdown limit. It's real, and you need to respect it. The solution is to shift your psychological relationship with it from fear-based avoidance to integrated awareness. You acknowledge it exists while keeping your primary focus on trading well. Let me give you practical strategies that actually work for trading under daily drawdown pressure. These aren't theory. These are proven techniques that successful prop traders use to maintain their psychology while respecting the rules. Strategy 1. Define your daily stop-out point in advance. Before the market opens, decide exactly what drawdown level means you're done for the day. For most traders with a 1% daily limit, this should be around 0.6 or 0.7% down. This does 2 things. First, it removes real-time decision-making about when to stop. You're not sitting there at 0.8% down trying to decide if you should take another trade. You already decided yesterday that 0.6% means you're done. Second, it gives you a psychological safety net. You know that you won't breach because you're stopping well before the limit. This reduces anxiety and allows you to trade more freely within your safe zone. You're not constantly calculating how close you are to disaster. Strategy 2. Reduce your normal position size by 30 to 50% when trading prop firm capital.
I know this sounds counterintuitive. You got funded to make money. Why would you trade smaller? But here's the reality. The psychological pressure of daily drawdown limits already reduces your effectiveness. Trading smaller compensates for this by giving you more room to breathe. More room means less anxiety. Less anxiety means better decisions. Better decisions mean more consistent profits. Plus, trading smaller means you can take more trades before hitting your daily stop-out point. Instead of 2 or 3 trades that could breach you, you can take 5 or 6 trades. This gives your edge more opportunities to play out and smooths out the variance. Many successful prop traders actually make more money trading smaller because the psychological relief allows them to execute their strategy properly. The math works out better even though each individual trade risks less. Strategy 3. Focus on morning session only, then stop. Most traders' best trading happens in the first 2 to 3 hours after the market opens. That's when you're freshest mentally, when major sessions overlap, when volatility and volume are highest. By limiting yourself to morning session trading only, you accomplish several things. You trade when you're at your psychological best, you avoid the afternoon chop that causes many losses, and you give yourself the rest of the day to psychologically reset instead of sitting at your screen stressing. This also prevents the revenge trading trap. If you have a rough morning and hit your daily stop out, you're done. No opportunity to dig yourself deeper. You close the platform and come back tomorrow fresh. Strategy 4. Treat every funded account as temporary and replaceable. This might sound negative, but it's actually liberating. If you go into prop trading knowing that you'll probably breach at some point, and that's okay because you can get refunded, the pressure decreases dramatically. You're not trading to protect this specific account forever. You're trading to prove your edge works, knowing that as long as your edge is real, you'll keep getting funded. This mindset shift from protecting the account to proving your edge changes everything. Traders who've breached and gotten refunded multiple times often trade better the second or third time because they've lost the fear of breaching. They know it's not the end of the world. They know they can pass again. This confidence allows them to execute properly. Strategy 5. Keep detailed emotional logs, not just trade logs. After each trading session, write down how you felt. Were you anxious about the daily limit? Did you skip trades because of fear? Did you force trades to make back losses? This emotional awareness helps you catch destructive patterns before they cause breaches. You'll notice that your worst trading happens in specific emotional states, and you can develop triggers to stop trading when you notice those states developing. Strategy 6. Practice daily drawdown rules in demo or small live accounts first. Don't make your funded account the first time you experience trading under these constraints. Simulate the pressure in an environment where breaching doesn't matter. Set artificial daily drawdown limits on your personal account and force yourself to respect them. Get used to stopping when you hit your limit. Practice the emotional experience of being close to your limit while still executing trades. Build the psychological muscle before the stakes are real. The key principle underlying all of these strategies is this: you succeed under prop firm pressure by managing your psychology, not by trying to trade perfectly. Perfect trading is impossible. Consistent execution under pressure is learnable. Let me tell you something most prop firm traders don't want to admit. The majority of funded traders breach their accounts. Not because they're bad traders, but because they haven't adapted their psychology to handle daily drawdown pressure. The traders who succeed long-term at prop firms aren't necessarily the most skilled analysts or the best at reading charts. They're the ones who've developed psychological resilience under constraint. They've learned to trade their edge consistently, even when the daily drawdown limit is sitting in the back of their mind. Here's what that actually looks like. They wake up, check their dashboard without emotional reaction. They trade their morning session with discipline. If they hit their predetermined stop-out point, they close their platform without hesitation. If they have a winning day, they don't celebrate excessively. They just execute their process day after day. This sounds boring, and it is. Successful prop trading is boring. It's not exciting, high-risk gambling. It's mechanical execution of an edge. while respecting constraints. The traders who treat it like a video game where they're trying to maximize profits quickly are the ones who breach. Now, let me address something important. Prop firms aren't evil, but they are businesses designed to profit from evaluation fees and trader failures. The rules exist partly for risk management and partly to create psychological pressure that most traders can't handle. Understanding this doesn't mean you can't succeed. It just means you should be realistic. If you breach your first funded account, that's normal. Most traders do. The question is what you learn from it. Do you recognize the psychological mistakes you made? Do you understand how daily drawdown pressure affected your decisions? Do you develop strategies to handle it better next time? If you breach your second or third funded account making the same psychological mistakes, then prop trading might not be for you. Not because you can't trade, but because you can't trade under these specific constraints. And that's okay. There are other ways to grow capital. Some traders thrive under constraint. The daily drawdown limit forces them to be more selective, more disciplined, more focused. For them, prop firms are perfect. Other traders need more freedom. They trade better without the psychological pressure. Neither is better or worse, they're just different.
The key is honest self-assessment. Can you execute your edge under daily drawdown pressure? Not can you execute it in demo or in your personal account. Can you execute it when every loss brings you closer to breaching and losing weeks of progress? If yes, then develop the psychological strategies we've discussed, and you'll likely succeed at prop trading. If no, then either work on your psychology until you can, or find a different path to growing your capital. Remember, the goal isn't to become a prop trader. The goal is to become a consistently profitable trader. Prop firms are just one tool to achieve that. They're not the only tool, and they're not right for everyone. Here's my final thought on this. Daily drawdown limits aren't just rules to follow. They're psychological tests of whether you can maintain your edge under pressure. The market itself is already challenging enough. Adding another layer of psychological constraint on top of that makes it exponentially harder. But if you can master trading under these constraints, if you can execute your strategy consistently despite daily drawdown pressure, you've developed a psychological skill that will serve you for your entire trading career. Because the market will always throw pressure at you in different forms. Economic news releases, volatile market conditions, losing streaks, winning streaks. All of these create psychological pressure. Learning to trade well under prop firm constraints teaches you to trade well under any pressure. That's the real value. So here's my challenge to you. If you're trading with a prop firm or planning to, implement the strategies we've discussed. Set your daily stop-out point. Reduce your position size. Focus on morning sessions. Keep emotional logs. Treat your account as replaceable. Most importantly, shift your focus from avoiding breach to executing your edge. Trade to trade well, not to protect the account. The account protection comes naturally when you're trading well. If this helped you understand the psychology of prop firm trading better, hit that like button and subscribe. I make content that addresses the real psychological challenges traders face, not just the surface-level technical stuff. Drop a comment and tell me about your prop firm experience. Have you struggled with daily drawdown pressure? What psychological mistakes have you made? Let's have an honest conversation because we're all dealing with the same challenges. And if you know another trader who's struggling with prop firm rules, share this with them. The more we talk openly about the psychological aspects of trading under constraint, the better we all get at handling it. Thanks for watching. Remember, prop firm rules don't define your ability as a trader. They're just one environment with specific constraints. Master the psychology, execute your edge, and you'll succeed, whether that's in a prop firm or through your own capital growth. The market rewards consistency and discipline. Prop firms test whether you can maintain those qualities under pressure. Pass that test not by being perfect, but by being psychologically resilient.